Welcome in, everybody. It's time for The Caster Off Air, the show where after every single week of The Caster, you get to see a behind-the-scenes look, talk to some of the people that were involved, just get a deeper understanding of what happened this week on The Caster. And this week, I'm joined by Hindu Man, one of the judges, of course, and the one, the only, the infamous Ron Jobert.
Hey.
Hey, it's you.
It's me.
He's still on the show, Hindu Man. He's still there. And that's where we're going to start. I mean, Rabies going out, we're going to go into more in depth in a little bit, but Ron, I mean, it's top 4.
Yeah.
And now you're, after this moment, you're top 3. What was your initial reaction when the judges said it was Rabies?
Well, Rabies was a very good judge of his own, I guess, skill in the challenges and stuff like that. So Rabies would come to us and be like, hey, is this challenge Smite? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I lose. And he would just walk away, and he's like really pissed off. Like, He knew his limits, and that it really bit him at the end.
Hindu, was that it? Was it just if it was a Smite challenge, Rabies was up a creek?
No, he wasn't. Obviously, he made top 4, right? And there were Smite challenges before that, so clearly he wasn't as bad as he thought he was. But you put that negative mindset into yourself of like, I don't know this game as well as other games. I'm going to do badly at this. And you automatically go into that. It can come across in your broadcast the entire time. It come across in your commentary every single time.
Confidence is so important when it comes to these sorts of things. And for once, I'm going to make you guys listen to my opinions because I was involved this time with the mini challenge.
Yeah, what happened, by the way?
What do you mean what happened?
Right, look at him now, guys, on air. Look at him now. Can we just get the single of him again? Just go up close with aggro because I just want to show you him. Right, look,
Howdy.
that's what he looks like now.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to show video content of him in the past. Look how much you've changed.
Look, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew it wasn't filmed today. I wanted to make that very clear. So I took my contacts out, put on my glasses.
I mean, I'm not in a suit. I'm pretty sure that shows it wasn't filmed today.
Well, you can go and change.
I'm not wearing the jacket.
That long time.
I'm not wearing my teal jacket.
You can go and change.
Well, I couldn't do all that in one moment.
Okay.
Well, why not?
Look, this was a foolproof plan, and now you're poking holes in it. For the mini challenge, like I said to Rabies, if you're casting to a new audience, Rabies should just be casting to himself in that sort of scenario. Like, that was perfect for him.
Yeah. That's the dream scenario when you come into commentary and you don't know the game that well. Stick to the basics, and then, like, if you get a chance to just, like, ask the questions, dream. Scott Gandy, prime example. Anyone who's known Smite long time ago, Scott Gandy came in, didn't know much about the game, but what did he get to do with his commentary? Just ask the questions that everybody wanted to know. Obviously, the hardcore fans are going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, clearly you didn't. He was asking the questions. But the new fans, you're engaging them the whole time.
And that's what the chair 1 is there to do most of the time anyways, right? Is just to kind of lead the conversation and allow your 2 chair to shine in their sort of game knowledge. And Ron, that was what you were trying to do and did so successfully. I'm not going to throw shade quite yet. It's going to come on later in the episode.
I hope not, dude. Like, I'm sitting here and I feel so attacked by you.
What's behind you?
Yeah, what is that, by the way? There's some
it's a
disgusting creature. And there's also something
it's a
next to
living
you.
nightmare. Where's the?
So that's 2 living nightmares in one shot right there. Good stuff.
Wow.
So that mini challenge for you, Ron, was that what you expected? How did that sort of process go from your end?
I mean, it's my parrot.
Polly.
Yes. The parrot. But yeah, going into that challenge, like you said, hey, we want to cast to a new audience, and then even before, like I was like, how do I know less? And you're like, are you sure you want to be chair 2 because you don't want to like know everything? And I'm like, I can't do anything else. I'm sorry. So I'm sitting there and I'm casting and I get immediately into like player tendencies, like you said, like a guy on this team likes to play this character, but then it's like you don't know who the team is, you don't know who. It was just so stressful trying to like pretend that I knew less.
And that's something that, I mean, Hindu, you and I have had conversations about. I have a girlfriend who has zero understanding of video games, Smite in particular. You have these viewers and you're like, yeah, well, you know, Jigs played Ama and just didn't get pressure early, so of course it wasn't going to go well. And they're like, what did you just say to me?
Another
puzzle?
Language.
Like, what happened?
Ama? I've never heard of Ama before.
Right.
Second of all, then you've got pressure. What does pressure mean? Like, there's so many like intricacies of the casting of like how you're talking and communicating to people that it's tricky to not fall into those, because Smite as a whole as well, Smite is, in my opinion, if you look at the other scenes, more detail orientated than most other commentated video games. We go a lot more in depth in Smite than most other MOBAs and other games anyway.
Without a doubt. I mean, you look at we do that all the time. We watch other games, we try and compare and contrast what we like, what we don't.
I cry how hard our job is sometimes compared to others.
I know, you hear that they're like, that was good, the end, and our Twitch chat would have been like, stupid caster doesn't understand that.
Death to aggro.
Yeah,
like-
once you put 5 points in Scylla's 2, it's slow. Like, you need to have that, of
Yeah.
course. But that isn't the case across the board. And so that was kind of a different for me as well, like going from what I usually do and shoot in 2-chair,
Sure.
especially during that time where I wasn't doing a lot of 1-chair. It was a different sort of feeling to try and steer the conversation the right way. And I was trying to help you out, Ron, because like you said, you were going really in depth, and I'm like, hey Ron, what does Athena do? Explain this, please.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if the questions you were asking me were like, I don't want to say a script or a template, but were you trying to get me to explain, or were you trying to say like, these are the questions that I would ask if I were a viewer, but what you're saying is...
No, this is Aggro legit asking what
Yeah, it's
Athena did.
Aggro
I
saying-
actually didn't know.
Terrible.
Aggro is saying, I've never played Smite, what is Athena, and also... what is pressure?
Yeah, what do any of these things mean? No, because you were later on among the contestants, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, and so I had done a lot of 2-chair. I had 2-chaired for everyone else before that, and so I was listening to what they were saying and trying to think about what I would say in that sort of situation to try and give feedback later on and be able to judge it effectively. So a lot of that was whenever they were asking me questions that were too far in depth, I was trying to keep a mental note like, okay, I don't want to go that far in depth.
Yeah.
I was trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who who understood video games. We're not,
Yeah.
you
5v5
use your mouse
killed
and
the
keyboard.
base.
Yeah. That was a little over the top, but that sort of mindset of, because I try and watch as many esports as I can, and to be able to look, I really rely on casters, as everyone does, to kind of explain those things, the little intricacies, but not too deep. I want to be able to have something to go into if I am more curious about it. But those are kind of what I was doing and trying to help what I thought the 1-chair should have been doing, as well as you were doing horribly, and I wanted to try and...
You wanted to eliminate me.
Yes, exactly.
I would also mention, Ron, just so you know, and so the fans at home know too, that was Aggro's best performance at Hyra Studios in its entirety.
Yeah.
Wait,
So he had a good day.
oh, nice. Well, I guess I got lucky.
It's
that it
not
was,
happened since yet
Yeah.
again, but I was
Wait,
hoping
didn't you just say
ramped
that?
up.
Didn't you just say that about something that I did recently too?
Was it about a joke?
Maybe.
You may have told
He
a
was
good
probably
joke.
joking. Like, he's like really
I had
kind of...
It's sarcasm. the whole
Oh
time.
wait, he jokes around.
Yeah, he's like the savage guy or something.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
like,
so
he's like
savage.
so savage. It's,
I can
like,
actually
insane.
smell the savage right now. Now that you mention it.
Is that?
Yeah, that's
No,
what that is.
that's not what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that
That's
is.
not what that is.
So the mini challenge goes is that what it is?
That's the savage.
This is like a prison loofah.
I knew there was going to be one that was hard to handle, and we're not far into this one, and there we go. Speaking of which, you on the desk with Golden Boy, we didn't even get to show all of it.
No.
That was incredibly fun to watch. I really think that in my humble opinion that you got robbed. I really enjoyed you on the desk with Golden Boy.
Well, yeah, they did say that my big issue was presentation, which is like the most important thing on the desk.
Yes.
I'd argue, like even a lot of the time, even if you're not saying anything too crazy, I think that people watching will notice your body language and stuff
Always.
like that. So Kelly's saying like when you weren't talking, like you were just off. I'm like, okay, so now that I've done the guest analyst desk on the SPL, that's like a really big focus for me, like body language, paying attention, that kind of thing.
It's definitely showed at least a little bit, right, Hindu?
Yeah.
Well, like a smidge.
Hindu didn't
No,
even know
I mean-
I'd been on the desk.
No, I hadn't. I was like, what's he doing on air? Where'd he come from?
Who
Why
let him
is
in
he
there?
here?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, Ron, let's take a deeper look. We do have a behind the scenes look at some of the moments with you and Golden Boy on the desk.
Would you mind keeping up?
Am I keeping up? Would you mind just getting out? Because you're out.
I'm actually gonna head out.
Okay.
This is my choice. I want everybody to know this is my choice.
He's actually quitting the competition.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
put your headset on, by the way.
God damn it. Ron.
Could you
fuck-
step it up? Like,
I don't. Look, honestly.
who's the contestant right now? Like,
Ladies and
are you
gentlemen, it's
kidding
Golden Boy
me?
here with Mewtwo King's cousin, Ron.
Delete this. Delete this.
See, there you go. You toss some shade, fam.
I'm
I'll come
going
right back
last
at you.
now. Gabriella, please.
Gabriella, please. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the analyst desk here. And what a game we just saw between Obey and Rival Golden Boy alongside Ron Jobbert. Ron, how you feeling, man?
I feel very good. I feel probably a lot better than Rival does because I did not just surrender a losing game.
No, they shots fired immediately.
What?
Okay, so let's stop, collaborate, and listen. Okay, because
What's your new invention?
oh my goodness gracious, I hate you.
I'm 22 years old.
So let's you know what, and that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's a joke that falls. It's a joke that falls flat with the young kids. You know, but the big moment of the game though, Ataraxia. I mean,
carried.
the way that he survived that initial play. I mean, why don't you run that through that for me?
The initial play, which I'm imagining is the double med.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing Ataraxia collapsed on. And Ataraxia has such good calls that he can say, okay, I'm being collapsed on. Obey, I need your help. It's like a bat signal up into the air. And they followed through. They had a med right after another. The Karakin could have killed him, but Maniac coming in with that second meditation was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, would you say who would you say is Robin in that situation?
Who is Robin in that situation? I would say Emilzy would look the best in tights.
Fair point.
But I also don't want to put that onto him because I think that's a decision that he should be able to make himself.
Fair point. All right. So I think that for Rival, I mean, you know, you'd mentioned before about like the potential this team has and all that stuff. Is this a squad that you could potentially see like maybe going to Worlds or something like that and contending at the top there?
I think I do. I think that the teams such as Energy, they lost early. You would never see that, especially Obey in last Worlds going all the way to the finals. I think if Obey plays anybody but Energy, they win Worlds last year because they were so strong. But you have to wait until you get used to the meta.
Yeah.
Teams are not used to the meta right now. They might be, especially the Rival meta that they've established themselves.
I like that. The Rival meta. This guy. Catchphrases. And then finally, I just got to ask you, you know, now that Obey is going to the finals, do you think they could win it all?
I think they can win it all, especially because their team comps are so varied. Even though Emilzy only plays Terra, apparently that's all he's good at. It's very unfortunate that they have such a, I don't know, varied way of playing. They either snowball or they just kind of wait it out. I'd like to see them push and win early, those early team fights. You do not see those early EU team fights like Obey does very well on any other squad, especially in NA. But EU fighting so early would completely change the game.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ron. Really appreciate it, guys. When we come back, plenty more Smite action here at the Smite Masters 2017, and we'll see you on the other side.
Now, there have been a lot of roasts of Ron in Twitch chat as the caster has gone on Twitter, things like that.
I don't watch with chat.
I think that my favorite is still Mewtwo King's cousin.
Mewtwo King's cousin was like legit. Not many things get me on the spot, but Mewtwo King's cousin, I just like deflated.
I was sitting right basically where we're sitting right now watching that, and both F-Dot and myself did the thing where when someone gets roasted so hard, I was sitting down and I jumped out of my chair.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my
God. You pace
God.
and you cover your mouth.
Yeah, you got to cover your mouth and be like, oh my. That's what that was.
Yeah.
I'm
That's what
so
you
glad
get.
we
That's what you
included it.
get. Like that comes back around eventually. It hasn't happened to me yet, but one day.
One day. I want to.
Speaking of that, by the way, look how old that filming was. Energy was still relevant.
What?
Ooh.
Wow. I thought we were roasting Emilzy. That's where I was going
Well,
next.
I mean,
but
like,
wow.
roasted Emilzy, man.
Yeah.
Mean.
What did Emilzy was just like on your mind on that desk? It was the tights.
There were
it
also
was,
casts, like my first cast in the first week, I just say Emilzy has bad positioning. Like that was just like my joke. I don't know why.
Sick
It was just
joke,
I think
Ron.
it's because his Twitter is so bad. And I was like reading it and I was just like, ugh.
Well, now that I mean, if you can only play Terra, as you said on the desk, what's the play now? Now that Terra's gotten there.
I don't know.
Do
I
a
guess
little
you
analysis for me right now.
play
Ron.
Terra, but a bit worse.
That's solid.
She's got slow now. So
Yeah, it's
That's solid.
the slow
right there.
lasts longer than the roots.
we could
Should
put
use
that
it
on the desk
again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have been doing. So.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Might as well.
You don't want to be back on the desk?
What?
You don't want to go on the desk again?
No, don't make me talk about Emilzy anymore.
Oh.
Well, no one made you from the first place. It was
No,
all
you
you.
chose.
No,
But-
yeah, it was.
But this is the life you've chosen for
It was
yourself.
a bribe.
Ron. Wow, taking bets already. Jeez, a lot of stuff getting uncovered here on Caster Off Air. Let's take a step back from this episode for a moment. Hindu, Ron just being here
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Well, there was a little bit
Being
of
born.
a controversy
Sure.
about that. talk me through the decision process of bringing
why
Ron
he was on
onto the
show.
caster.
So in the first place, like obviously everyone saw his intro video, but as I've said about other casters too who came onto the show, it wasn't just them sending that reel in and that was it. It was also the fact that what would end up happening after that is that they'd send in commentary of themselves too. So I did actually get to hear some of Ron's commentary and I was like, actually, unfortunately, it's actually not that bad.
It was weird though because I was still solo casting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I had never been in a duo cast until I did it with Patrick.
Yeah.
So me posting that video or the listed the
Yeah.
video to you, like that was I was solo casting and doing play by play and I'm like, I suck. Like I
But
hate
a lot of that stuff that happens when you solo cast too, like a lot of them sent in solo casts. That's
Yeah, yeah.
kind of normal. It's kind of everyone's comfort zone of like, hey, I don't have to use another person for this.
Right.
So I listened to a lot of people solo casting and, take into account their personalities and things like that. And obviously, he's one of those people in the scene that like you want to see him lose. So it also factored in too. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, time of place, let's go.
Well, we're still here. He's top 3 currently, but
Yeah.
if you're a little bit
I forgot there
unfamiliar.
was 3 judges and not just one.
Oh, yeah, true. Puts a little wrench in the
Hindu man
plans.
yells at Ron, the show. Like
show.
that.
Oh, it's great. Roast him day one. Goodbye.
Just-
See you
wow,
later.
Okay, sorry.
Yo, chat would have loved me too. Let's be
That's-
honest.
They always
But
do.
now they're loving him.
Yeah,
Are they though?
they
I saw Twitch chat today. They're turning.
Well, if you're unfamiliar
Now that
with
Merlo's
Ron's
gone.
audition that generated a lot of buzz right before the caster even began taping, we've got it for you here.
I am Ron Jobert, and I am the caster. I at least want to be on the show. Coming into Mirage, hello, free trip to base, absolutely free of charge. I'd say I'm semi-well known in the Smite scene. I used to be a support player. I gave up my career for so many different reasons. Scheduling conflicts, peanut allergy, that kind of thing. But I will say that in my time, I was an elite player.
I feel like if Ron wants to stay relevant in the Smite scene at all, he's gonna just have to become a caster. I feel that his level of play is so hopeless that the only spot for him to really fit in is with the casting team at Hi-Res.
I don't think I've ever seen someone die so many times in one game. Ron should never touch professional Smite.
I played literally one game of Conquest with Ron Jobert, and I quit professional Smite.
And what do you do if you can't be a pro? You work at Hi-Res. The fadeaway auto attack from There's only one rule in Smite, and that is to not 1v1 Zapman unless you are Zapman.
How can you 1v1 yourself, Ron?
what do you mean?
The line at the end of that little video didn't even make sense.
We don't have audio. I didn't hear that.
Hopeless. I'm glad you've overcome your peanut allergy, though, to get to where you are
Can
today.
I also mention that 2 of the people who made comments about the casters and such like that are no longer in the scene or relevant at all. Thank you.
Polar Bear
You're-
Mice on the best team in the world. That's what I said on the desk, and I have to double down.
Good double down. Best of luck there with that one. We'll see come will.
XD.
We will s-
Wait for Super Regionals when they're bloop.
when the EU train comes to station. That's when
The best team in the left world.
yeah the side of the world that doesn't touch Europe, at least quite yet.
Yeah.
There that was kind of the beginning of your journey and sitting top 3. Surprising to many, but were you surprised?
By getting this far, I was like, I guess I'll just like win the show because I had no idea how good I was. Like Patrick and I were really close during filming, like
Right.
early when he's on, and we're just like, I hope we don't go last or go first, and then like we don't, and then I'm like, I hope I don't go 7th. Like it just kind of narrows down, and you're like, all right, I've successfully done what I think I can do.
Is this the moment where you realize that you actually can win the show? It's no longer like, I hope I don't get 4th, but I think I can actually get 1st.
I was thinking that only because I was the only one who did what I did. Like I was the only chair 2, I was the only analyst and that kind of thing. So I'm like, if I'm the only analyst and I'm being compared to these like play-by-play commentators, I'm like, obviously I'm doing something well. So
It's a big point that as well, because like obviously we mentioned about when he came onto the show and like he was one of the only analysts we technically had. I mean, obviously had Smite experience. They lean towards the hype version, the chair 1 version, but you do have analysts on there too. So you do compare casters to each other as well as like against their peers. And it's kind of tricky with chair 1 versus chair 2, but there's definitely benefits to each, So
Sure.
even though he might not be the hypest dude in the world,
disagree, but
I get hype whenever he leaves the
Yeah.
room. I'm like,
I mean,
yes.
you're like,
it's a
yes,
bonus.
he's gone.
Finally.
the way I look at Ron is like he's the American. Sadly, I don't want to say this, but he's got like the American version of my sort of style. Outside of the hype, like my sort of style of shit talk. Like, he does it too, but he does the American. It's like when they recreated The Office, right? I'm like the Ricky Gervais version. He's the whatever the other idiot is. 'Cause it
Michael
doesn't matter to
Scott.
me. That doesn't matter to me. The English version is the only important one.
Okay, can we just take one moment away from the caster and recognize that Hindu was just objectively wrong?
How?
Thank you for all enjoying that
How?
moment with me.
Parks and Rec is better than both of them.
Agreed there.
I'll also agree with that too. So, suck it.
So we're all friends here.
I wanted to
again.
swear.
You do okay, whatever. You already did once, and I
We're
don't even
already
have a swear
friends.
jar this episode.
I already did what one?
We're almost done here, Hindu and
Okay,
Ron, and
I'm
we haven't
sorry.
even talked about the person who got eliminated. Rabies goes out this episode, and while he didn't have the strength, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, he did do so well on Paladins. He had a good performance on the Hand of the Gods challenges as well. Let's first take a deeper look at how Rabies' main challenge went.
Thank you so much, Husey and Hindu, man. What a game we just saw there between Obey and Rival. Golden Boy here back at the desk with the one and only Rabies. What a game, man.
That game was insane. It was, there was so much agility, so many things happening. It started out one way and it ended a totally different.
And actually, let's just go ahead and talk about that, because at the start of it, Rival, man, they were off to a great start. Why was that?
I mean, let's be real. Ice Ice Baby came out the gate so hot, right? He picked up 3 kills in the opening minutes on Nemesis, this hyper late game carry. We couldn't believe it. We thought this game was over in the early minutes, or at least in favor, despite being what I would call a bad pick and ban phase. Team Rival was starting out strong.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I know that it seems silly, but Team Rival, they were very stagnant besides the 3 kills on Nemesis. And I know it's very, I'm not pushing past that moment in the game, but that really was such a big part of the opening game. A hyper carry, Nemesis with 3 kills, item advantage. You think this character is just going to snowball with the gold advantage, the item advantage, but Obey Alliance, they just had this veteran knowledge about themselves. They slowed the game down. They were able to, I'm a basketball fan, they were like the San Antonio Spurs in that match.
Man.
They took it to a half-court defense. You know, they ignored 3 kills on the Nemesis, kept farming, and kept working.
That takes a lot. And speaking of, man, this next one of the major moments of the match for me in particular came from Ataraxia when he was able to survive. I mean, can you run me through what happened there?
When Ataraxia survived, I can't remember that exact moment in the match. It was I don't remember when he survived. I know he did get away in the back lanes. But what happened basically was Obey Alliance, they got that Gold Fury around 15 minutes, and I believe it was that fight where Ataraxia did survive. Right after that, we saw them basically get the Gold Fury, and when they got the Gold Fury at 15, sorry to beat around the bush with your question, but
Yeah.
when they got the Gold Fury at 15 minutes, they were able to they turned the gold advantage in their favor. They turned the kill advantage in their favor.
Okay, now, here's the other thing, though. Can you see Obey winning this whole thing?
Absolutely. This is a veteran team. They've been here before. They've been on the grand stage. They know how to handle the pressure. That's all the things you need. They have the knowledge. They have the execution. And Pretty Prime is playing on fire for their hyper carry. That's a definite. I could see them winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do. And, of
be a
course,
blast.
it's going to be a fantastic matchup. Well, Rabies, thank you so much for your time, my man.
You're welcome,
Really
little boy.
appreciate it. Guys, this is Smite Masters 2017. We have plenty more action coming at you in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is my show to win. I dropped the ball. Part of me wants to be happy that I made it this far, and I am, but a part of me feels extremely disappointed. I mean, I have more casting knowledge than all those people there. Despite the remaining contestants, I know more than them. Like, I got eliminated on a game I just was not familiar with. I just dropped the ball, was insanely just nervous all day long. It's so crazy that life comes full circle. I started playing this game when it first came out in beta on PC 4 years ago, and I played it for about 2 months, but I left it. And then it's just crazy to be doing a reality show / competition show for Hi-Rez Studios 4 years later down the line. I just feel blessed to be here. I thank everyone for watching and tuning in. And I really want to thank Hi-Rez for letting me be a part of this. It's been a dream. And this isn't the last time any of you have seen Paul Rabies Santoro.
So it's up to top 4, and everyone has the points that the judges have been saying to them all along. It's Finch, his speed is too fast.
Yep.
Ron needs to work on his presence. Gabby needs to be a little bit more genuine, and I have to say, during the mini challenge, when my feedback was to her was to be more genuine, I had not seen any of her previous work. I hadn't heard any of your previous feedback. And it's kind of funny that we're on the exact same page on what she needed to work on. What was it that ended up being Rabies' downfall?
For Paul, it sounds really weird to say, but it was almost self-confidence about certain things too. You could really see that in the last challenge where you knew he wasn't confident in what he was saying. He was trying to skirt around it a little bit too much. And sometimes you have to fake it. Like, if you don't really know what you're talking about, sometimes you get asked a question, you don't really know the answer. So keep it basic, keep it short, pass it back. Try and continue the subject too long, and it looks really obvious, and it really stands out more so than it would do. And I love Paul too. I think Paul's amazing. He's got so much passion for this job, and you can see it in him. Like, but that's excitement, that's hype, that's energy, that's good. That's New York, It's all good stuff, and you want those sort of commentators. That's why I said, from my point of view, like, he has a big career in his future.
Ron, top 3. It's you, it's Gabby, it's Finch. What are you thinking?
How is he top 3?
Can you just say?
No, don't say it again.
Ron Jobert is in the top 3.
To this one. To my solo shot, please.
Thank
you. No, to me. No one wants to see that. Bring it here.
I wish it was Paladins.
That's okay. Either way, thank you. Ron Jobert, a top 3 contestant on the caster. You can put that on your digital resume if you want. Just that little link to that clip. What are you thinking in this moment?
When Rabies goes home?
Yes.
Well, Rabies has always Rabies was also my roommate with Patrick. Like, we had 3 to a room, and we were really close. And I probably got him eliminated because I'm the one that taught him Smite. So I guess that's my bad.
Wow, you really are Hindu, man.
Yeah, I screwed him over because I don't
Good
know
job.
much. No,
hey, it's about self-survival. I'm not going with that.
we boot camped Smite hard, and you could tell even in his first cast with Freight, the stuff that I was telling him that he was picking up, and then that's the focus of the game. I'm like, hey, this is what Fire Giant does, and then when he casts, he's like, the Fire Giant, it's so important. It gives you MP5, HP5, it does everything. It's insane, and I'm like, well, not that. It's not that bad. Rabies was always a Doberman actor, but inside was a very shaky chihuahua to me. Not in a bad way, because I love Rabies, but he's very nervous, and he's yippy and yappy, and he's very hard on himself, and he cares a lot. So him going home was not a surprise just because this was a Smite challenge, but it was a surprise because I thought the judges would look at him and say put him on the next week's challenge if it's not Smite, and he goes through. That's what I was thinking.
Well, it's down to top 3, and I can't believe it's already coming.
Could you say
to a close.
Ron Jobber?
Absolutely not. Never again, as long as I live. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the after show. Next week, we go down to the final 2. Can't believe it's already there. We'll leave you, as we always do, with a preview for next week's episode.
Next time on The Caster. It's up to you to represent the game and the company as best as possible. Our contestants will deal with interviews with some hard-hitting questions, and also just cast a game.
Who do you think are the 2 worst casters at high res, and why?
Is the worst? I'd probably say we jest, but I mean, everyone we have here does a really good job on the caster's desk.
The guy who, if I was pressed, I'd feel the best with after my conversation. This mini challenge in my eyes goes to.
What up, everybody? It's your girl Gabriella the Tigress Davia Allen here with pretty hair, bringing the pretty boy swag. How you doing today?
Doing lovely. That's quite the intro.
You asked for it a lot of emails in my account. More paladins, please.
But I'm ready to jump into some Smite action.
Can you make it through District 69, the Maldamba, on the objective to close it out here?
50 Shades of Snake getting that percentage. This is going to be very helpful, especially if they want to collapse later.
Now it's 99 to 93% here. Androx is putting a ton of damage into the back line, just what we like from him, and that's going to be a nice victory from District 69 there.
It's been a long and arduous journey, and unfortunately for one of you, that journey will end today.
The person that is going to be going into the finals